Hi everyone, this is Shalini, Assistant Professor of English, St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Cuddalore. This video is for the paper Commonwealth Literature. Today we are going to talk about Nagamandala by Girish Karnad. Now first we will talk about Karnad. Karnad was born in Mathiran near Mumbai in May 1938. He died on 10th June 2019. He wrote his plays in Kannada and translated them himself into English. Girish Karnad was an Indian actor, film director, Kannada writer and an activist. He has earned awards like Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan by the Government of India and won 4 Filmfare Awards, of which 3 are Filmfare Award for Best Director and the 4th Filmfare for Best Screenplay. His notable works Yayati, Tughlaq, Nagamandala, Hayavadana, Boiled Beans on Toast, The Fire and the Rain and Vadakulu Bimba. Karnad's style of writing is simple, straightforward and idiomatic. He is a gifted dramatic craftsman. He is well versed with Indian stage techniques. All his plays are noticeable for consummate excellence of dramatic technique. Let's discuss the structure of the play Nagamandala. The play has prologue, 2 acts and multiple endings. In the prologue, we find a ruined temple with a broken idol. A man comes to the temple and says that he was a playwright earlier, who with his plays has made many audience to sleep. So they cursed him to death. A mendicant had advised him that if he could keep awake at least one whole night, he would not die. That day was the last day of the month, and he kept himself awake in order to overcome the curse of the death. He swore to himself that if he could survive that night without sleep, he would have nothing more to do with story writing. After some time, he heard some voices and then saw flames. The man addresses the audience and tells that he had once heard a story about these flames, that when the lamps are put out in the village, the flames gathering in some remote places spend nights together for gossiping. And here they start to share their stories which happened in their house. At that moment, a new flame arrives and starts to narrate the incidents happened in her house. The old woman in the house saw a young woman dressed in a new saree stepping out from her husband's room and disappeared. The old woman questioned her husband, but he knew nothing. And all the other flames curiously asked about the young flame. The new flame explains the story. The old woman knew a story and a song, but all these years she never told the story nor sung the song. And they were being imprisoned inside her. And this afternoon, when the old woman took a nap and started snoring, then the moment her mouth opened, the story and song jumped out and hid in the attic. At night, story took the form of a woman and song became a sari. Then the woman wrapped the sari and went out. Story in the form of a woman dressed in a new colorful sari and enters into the temple. Then the flames gather out around her to console her and agree to listen to the story, but they cannot past it. Then the man, the dramatist, agrees to listen to the story. Then the story agrees to reveal the story on one condition, that the man must tell again to someone else. And he promises to tell the story to someone else if he is alive. The man also puts one condition, that never allow him to sleep while listening to the story. Then he addresses the audience and tells that it is his last chance of being alive, and he calls out the magician the story, and the man remains on the stage. The flames listen attentively from a distance. Here, Girish Karnad has used a technique of story within a story. Let us see the characters of the play Nagamandala. Rani. Rani is the protagonist of the play. She is a young bride who is neglected by her indifferent and unfaithful husband Appanna. Appanna spends most of his time with his concubine and comes home only for lunch. Rani is a typical wife who wants to win her husband's affection by any means. Rani tries to win her husband's love by using a love route not given to her by Gurudeva. The next character is Appanna. Girish Karnad portrays Appanna as the best example of male chauvinism. He goes to the concubine and neglects his own wife and locks her so that she does not get into any relationship. He is seen as a selfish person who leads a lustful life with another woman. The next character is Naga. Naga, who can take any form of human, falls in love with Rani as it consumes the love potion which is prepared by Rani for her husband Appanna, and that spilled in the anthill. Naga visits Rani every night in the form of Appanna when he is not home. The next character is Gurudeva. Gurudeva was an elderly woman and she was old friend of Appanna's parents. She suggests some tricks to Rani to make her husband her love. Rani tries to offer liquid of root through food to Appanna, but she fears if there would be negative consequences of that root on her husband. The next character is Kappanna. Gurudeva, the old woman, always carry Kappanna on her back with her whenever she goes. Let's move on to the summary of the play. The play Nagamandala is based on the two oral stories from Karnataka that the playwright Girish Karnad heard from his mentor Professor A.K. Ramanujan. Karnad through the play exposes the exploitation and incorporation of women that occurs through the institution of marriage and how myths display the fears of men in society. The story of the play is about Rani, the central character of the story. She was married to a man named Appanna. Appanna always locked Rani inside the room and he spends most of his time outside with the concubine. He comes home only once a day at lunch. Appanna does not love her wife even though he has no interest to talk with her. Whenever Rani tries to talk with Appanna, he shuts her up by saying he has no interest in her talks. One day, an old blind woman, Gurudeva, comes near Appanna's home with her son Kappanna. She talks to Rani and learns about her bad situation of living at home alone. Gurudeva admires Rani's beauty and informs her about Appanna's love affair. Gurudeva decides to help Rani in getting her husband's love by giving her magical roots. Rani was happy by hearing Gurudeva's plan. Gurudeva gave her two magical roots. Rani first mixed the small root with milk and gave Appanna to consume, but it was no use. It does not work. Then she thought to give him the big root. She mixed the big magical root in curry. It changed the color of the curry. She was afraid to give him the red colored curry, so she pours it outside the home on an anthill where a king cobra lives. The cobra consumes the curry, and as it was not a normal curry, so the Naga falls in love with Rani and it starts to visit Rani every night in form of Appanna. Rani was happy because she thought that her husband has changed his mentality and now he does not scold her and treated her like a queen. But during the day, Appanna treats her like his servant. Thus Appanna's behavior changes day and night because at night it was Naga in the form of Appanna. And during the day, real Appanna comes home. So Rani thinks that it was her dream that Appanna visits her at night. But after a few months, Rani comes to know that she is pregnant. And then she realized that it was not only her dream but actually really Appanna visited her at night. When she informs her about it, her husband Appanna was frightened at Rani and dragged her to Panchayat. He accused Rani that she has extramarital affairs with some other person, that's why she is pregnant, because he did not have marital relations with her. But Rani claims that the unborn infant's father is Appanna. Then in the Panchayat, the village elders suggest that Rani would have to pass through an ordeal to prove her innocence. To prove her innocence, Rani goes to the anthill and takes the Naga in her hand and says as Naga had suggested to her. Turned like a garland over her neck, then it slid through her shoulder and did not bite her. Thus her innocence was proved. Afterward, the villagers considered Rani as a goddess, and Appanna had to accept her with the child, but Appanna was still in confusion because he knew that he was not the father of the child, but he had no choice except to accept her. Some days later, one day Naga thought to see Rani, so he went to the home where he found her with Appanna. The Naga was very furious to see that, so it decided to kill Rani, but out of love it stopped and turned into a small cobra and hid in her long hair. In the morning, when Rani combs her hair, the dead Naga falls and the play ends. But the man, that means the listener, was not satisfied with the sad ending, so he provides a happy ending himself, and that is, when Rani combs her hair, the alive Naga falls. Appanna tries to kill it, but Rani hides it back in her hair. To conclude, that Girish Karnad's play Nagamandala as a split personality and identity crisis interprets the ancient theme in modern context. Like Yayati, the common man of today is grouped in the darkness of material and sensual pleasures. Thank you.